Ramin Valentino was born in 1846. He is Bianca and Romeo Valentino's first child. Most of his childhood was spent with his father. The two of them were very close. Romeo wanted to prepare him to one day lead the mafia just like him. That meant seeing the bad and the ugly. When he was older, his father hired him to work by making drinks for the guests and feeding the sharks. At home, he worked on his strength. In 1863, Ramin's grandmother had passed away. That was when Romeo chose to retire and pass the leadership down to Ramin. Everything now belonged to him. He took good care of the business. But that was no surprise. All his power really boosted his ego. In his free time, he hooked up with many women. There was one girl in particular who stuck around the most. Her name was Gio. Things were getting pretty serious. Usually after a rough day, the two of them would meet later on. In 1874, Ramin proposed. They had a big wedding with friends and family to celebrate their love. After that, Ramin went back to work while Gio relaxed at home. She enjoyed the rich life. Her mother-in-law assumed the luxury was all she cared about. She didn't like her very much, but Gio and Ramin were very much in love. Their marriage was only different than most. She would seduce the dealers to get him discounts on pounds of drugs. It had become her job. She liked doing it and Ramin liked to watch. Soon Gio was expecting. In 1879, she had a little boy named Emilio. In the few months she cared for him, Gio rarely saw Ramin. He was always busy working. When Emilio was old enough, she left him with his grandparents to help Ramin with his business. She enjoyed the attention. She would often hook up with Ramin's enforcers for fun. That would soon backfire on her. One of his enforcers had become infatuated with her. But Gio was just having fun. Her and Ramin both had their flings. At the end of the day, they only truly loved each other. In 1881, Gio discovered she was pregnant. She broke the news to Ramin, who was equally upset as she was. They both knew that Ramin wasn't the father. They also knew they didn't want any more children. Gio confessed to the enforcer, whose name was Aldo, that he was the father. He was excited to hear it and tried to reassure her. When she told him she wasn't keeping it, he lashed out on her. So she and Ramin went behind his back to terminate the pregnancy. After that, Gio stayed at home and spent time with her son. When Aldo found out she was no longer pregnant, he was infuriated. Gio wanted nothing to do with him. She expressed her concerns to Ramin, and he made sure Aldo would never go near her again. When she went back to helping Ramin, she kept her distance from him. But Aldo wasn't thinking about her. He kept quiet and did his job. Years went by. Romeo had passed away in 1885 and Bianca soon after in 1887. By then, Emilio was old enough for Ramin to bring him to meetings the same way his father did with him. Emilio quickly caught on to the way things worked. But Aldo soon had enough. The second Ramin was alone, he was slashed. Aldo took off before anyone could notice, leaving Ramin to bleed to death. But Ramin wasn't alone, and his son had watched the whole thing. He ran to get help, but it was too late. Ramin died in 1888 at 42 years old.